Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah.
So Allah is saying, this love I created in your parents, now you need to give it back to them. You need to give it back to them, and these are the incentives for you. Because Allah knows that the reverse love is not as pure as the love that came from top down. The love that we're going to give back is not the same. We all love our parents, we all do. But it is a love that is, you need to struggle with it. You need to remind yourself about it. You need to calm yourself down. You need to control your tongue. وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. So Allah has given us all of these incentives. And of course the Quran and the Sunnah are full of the rights of the parents. Our Prophet ﷺ said that إِنَّ رِضَى الرَّبِّ بِرِضَى الْوَالِدَيْنِ, that the happiness or the contentment, the pleasure of Allah is found in pleasing the parents. وَإِنَّ غَضَبَ الرَّبِّ, and the anger of Allah is found in making the parents angry. Hadith in Muslim, Imam Ahmad. The pleasure of Allah is found in pleasing the parents, and the anger of Allah will be incurred in displeasing the parents. And in the famous hadith that all of you have a phrase of, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, I want to enter Jannah. How do I enter Jannah? How do I enter Jannah?" So the Prophet ﷺ said, "That is your mother alive? Is your mother alive?" The man said, "Yes, she is alive." So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Find her feet and put yourself to it. Ilzimha. Stick yourself to her feet." This is an expression in Arabic, of course, which means humble yourself to her khidmah. Humble yourself to her service, right? Go stick yourself to her feet. فَثَمَّ الْجَنَّةِ, and there you will find Jannah. And from this we get the common phrase that Jannah تَحْتَ أَقْدَامِ الْأُمَّهَاتِ, that Jannah is underneath the feet of the mother. The Prophet didn't quite say that phrase, but he said a phrase which is similar to it, that ilzimha, that basically stick yourself to her shin or her legs, فَثَمَّ الْجَنَّةِ, Jannah will be around that area. So he gave this metaphor, this parable here, that lower yourself, humble yourself down to the khidmah of your mother, to service your mother, you're going to find Jannah around that area. And in the famous hadith reported in Sunan al-Nisa'i in this wording, and it's also in al-Bukhari, that a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, "Ya Rasulullah, I have come to dedicate myself to you, and I have come all the way from Yemen." Now of course he is in Medina. Yemen is 1,000 miles away. "I have come all the way from Yemen, and I have come to dedicate my life to whatever you want, and I want to do jihad fi sabilillah." This is of course one of the highest things that we can do, a legitimate jihad. "I have come to dedicate myself to you, your khidmah, and to jihad fi sabilillah. And I've come all the way from Yemen, and I've even left my parents who are old and weak. I've left them even though they need me, and they're even crying because they need me, but I've come to you instead." In other words, he's boasting. He's boasting that I left my parents crying to come to you. This is how sincere I am. So the Prophet ﷺ, he found this amazing, and he said, "Do you really want the pleasure of Allah?" The man said, "Of course." So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Irji' ilayhima, go back to them right now. Go back to them right now. وَأَضْحِكْهُمَا, and make them laugh, just as you cause them to cry." That's how you're going to find Jannah. You came here thinking that you're going to come to Jannah by leaving them crying, and you came. Now notice, this man became a Sahabi by coming to Medina. He wasn't a Sahabi. He came to Medina, he became a Sahabi because he saw the Prophet, right? And he's entering Medina and he's so happy that yes, I'm going to dedicate my life to the service of Islam. But he says, "I left my parents crying." So the Prophet said, "Is this your version of Islam?" Basically, he didn't say that way, but saying, "Is this what you think you're going to enter Jannah? By causing your parents to cry and coming to me, he is Rasulullah, right? And wanting to do jihad fi sabilillah." There's something that is even more important than jihad fi sabilillah, and that is making khidmah and giving the rights of your parents. So he said, go back to your parents and make them laugh. وَأَضْحِكْهُمَا, make them laugh just as you cause them to cry. And beautiful incident from the life of Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anh, that Ibn Abbas was doing tawaf around the Kaaba. Ibn Abbas was doing tawaf around the Kaaba. Ibn Abbas lived in Mecca and Taif, and he would always be in that vicinity. So he's doing tawaf around the Kaaba, and there was a man doing tawaf with an elderly lady on his back. He was carrying this elderly lady on his back. When he recognized Ibn Abbas, he came running to him and he said basically, "Oh Ibn Abbas, oh Ibn Abbas, I have come from such and such a place." And he mentioned a faraway place. They say it was in the area of Iraq or faraway place. "I have come from such and such a place. And this lady on my back, she is my mother. And she had the desire to come for Hajj for so many years, but we couldn't afford an animal, a camel or a horse. And so I put her on my back, and I have come from that place in order to perform the Hajj. Have I now fulfilled the rights of my mother on me? Have I now fulfilled the rights of my mother? Khalas, intaha al-amr, are we done?" And so Ibn Abbas smiled and he said, "What you have done is good, but you haven't even fulfilled a fraction of what your mother did for you. You haven't even done a fraction." The man said, "Ya Ibn Abbas, I have come mashyan ala al-ard, I've come walking from that place with my mother on my back, and you say that I haven't even done a fraction?" And notice, wallahi, this is psychology that will make us shudder. Look at what Ibn Abbas said. True person who understands human nature. He said, you haven't done a fraction because, why? When your mother took care of you, she did it out of genuine love, wanting to see you flourish, wanting to see you grow, wanting to see you live for a long time. Now that you're doing it back, you're doing it as a burden, as a favor back to her, waiting for her to die.